This is KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guests today are from the upcoming production of Sweeney Todd at Kirkwood Community College. We have Sweeney and Mrs. Lovett in the house with us right now, Gabe Crozier and Amber Wagner, and director Emma Drtina. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So, Sweeney Todd is a story that has it's really got everything. It's got a dense plot. It's got interesting characters, a lot of sadness and emotion, but it succeeds best when it's also done with some humor. So, Emma, let's start with you. Yeah. So you've got to stand, for those who don't know, of course, this is the story of the couple in 1800s London who decide that the cheapest way to make a killing in the restaurant market is to literally make a killing of people.
Yes.
And they made a musical out of it. Go figure. So with all of the stuff I kind of let off saying, Emma, just talk to me a little bit about how you approached it as a director to try and take this, that could just really be a descent into sadness and madness.
Sure.
And make it something that's also fun to watch.
Yeah. So I think as sad or scary as a premise as it is, I think that we have done a good job, especially in this pairing, with the humor of the story. One thing that we talked about with all of the characters is an important part of acting in general is not judging your character, just being that character. And so sometimes it's hard not to judge some of these characters, but we think that that's the best way for the audience to connect to their story. If you're not judging your own character, then hopefully the audience won't judge it negatively either. But I think that this musical, it's very intense, but you'll definitely laugh during it. The humor is very funny. The music is insane. There's an insane amount of music by Stephen Sondheim, who writes really complex musicals. So we're really excited to be diving into all of that music, all of that story head first. These guys have been working really hard, so we're excited to present it to Kirkwood.
Amber, how long have you been at Kirkwood? Where did you come from? What other shows have been highlights of your career?
Well, this is my first year at Kirkwood. I graduated last year from Central Lee High School in Donaldson, Iowa, which is about 2 hours south of here. And I guess one of the shows that I loved I was a part of was The Little Mermaid. I was Ariel my senior year of high school, and that was actually my first ever musical I was in.
Wow.
And so this is my second musical ever. But, yeah, I love it, and I'm so excited.
And full disclosure, Gabe and I not only have known each other for several years, but we've performed together. So
yes, we have.
I will only ask Gabe questions I already know the answer to. But Gabe, tell me about how you landed at Kirkwood and what's been some of your favorite times here.
Well, I've had a great time with the show, and it's been like a lot of fun doing it. I originally am from, as you know, I'm from a completely different country known as Iceland, and
Iceland by way of the Amanas.
By far away from that. Yeah, but yeah, I was raised in the Amanas, and then I went to Kirkwood, and we did the show together, Radio Hour, which was a great time. Actually, one of my favorite shows, apart from this one. And yeah, this musical is just...
Sweeney Todd is kind of the role.
Yeah.
That's a role
This is a role that I've been
after.
wanting to play for a very long time. Ever since I saw the movie, I was just dying to wanting to like be a part of this sort of show. And so like as soon as they announced it, I was like, gotta do it. So yeah, I've poured as much heart and soul I could possibly pour into this character. So I'm really, really excited for this.
You said you saw the movie. Have you seen the play on stage before?
I have not, no. Which I think is kind of a good thing because I don't want to like incorporate as much from like that takes sort of away sort of the ideas of like what other people would do on stage and then apply it to myself. I'd rather do it sort of my way. Like, and this also applies to like the film as well. It's completely different to how like it's written on stage and how like Stephen Sondheim, like there's like all these songs that were like completely cut from the movie. And so yeah, that's something that I'm really excited to show people that are more familiar with the movie and not so much with the staging production of it. So that'll be a lot more fun to show.
Amber, how about you? Did you have any familiarity with this show going into it?
So going into auditions, I knew what it was. I hadn't ever seen it before. And then after I had established, like, I got the part and I had established my character and how I wanted to play Mrs. Lovett, that's when I, like, allowed myself to watch it finally. Because I was like, okay, I don't want to, as Gabe had said, I didn't want to watch it and almost subconsciously start to mimic another person's idea of what Mrs. Lovett is. So I, established what I wanted Mrs. Lovett to be, and then I just recently, like last weekend, watched the Broadway production of it, and wow is what I would say to that. Yeah.
So you said that you spent a lot of time conceptualizing Mrs. Lovett in your own head. So tell me about her now that you've decided who she is.
Yeah, so Mrs. Lovett, she's something else. I love her. I love being her, which is kind of crazy because she's a little crazy. She just is kind of all over the place. Like, being in her head is kind of difficult because she's back and forth between two different places a lot. Like, physically, she's in two different places a lot. Like, she's with Sweeney a lot, but then she's also with other characters, and she's trying to play these two parts. She's in two worlds a lot. And, she wants to make her pies, but in the beginning, that's not going very well for her. So, Sweeney comes along, and I, like, see this way of, oh, I can help him. And this will also help me. Oh, I love this. I love you. So that's where, I'm making money. I have this guy that I'm head over heels for. And, but also there's just something a little off with Mrs. Lovett. And I kind of love playing into that part of her too.
Well, I love how you said, I can help him, when, of course, really what Mrs. Lovett does, and this is part of not judging your character, is manipulate.
Yeah.
things to her advantage. And even though it looks like, and I'm sure that Sweeney Todd thinks he's running the show, it's actually Mrs. Lovett is driving the train a lot of the time.
Oh, yeah.
So with that in mind, Gabe, tell me a little bit about getting into the head of Benjamin Barker.
Well, Benjamin Barker.
and how little time you really feel like you should be spending there.
Not a place you want to go. But no, like what I sort of also thought of in terms of like Sweeney Todd was I wanted to separate his character from being Sweeney Todd and then being Benjamin Barker, as because
they are two different people.
They are two different people, but they're of the same body, and so like Benjamin is in the past, and now Sweeney's in the now, and he's clearly out to wreak some havoc and show some wrath towards certain characters, and to him that's just all he wants is to avenge those. To avenge himself of being wronged and just all the things that have like happened to him, and also just like he doesn't see Mrs. Lovett, like the development between these these two is he views her as more of a necessity rather than a sort of emotional reliability.
He is single-minded.
Yes.
To a fault.
Very much.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they always say that characters have a tragic flaw. His tragic flaw is his complete single-mindedness on his goal.
Yeah. Yeah. And not to mention like his disconnection with just humanity as a whole and just society, and also his like as he's a father as well, and then that sort of goes away and disappears in the background. Even though he knows that she's out there, he's not solely focused on being a father. Rather, he's focused on seeking revenge and justifying or seeking justice for himself and those he cared about.
The play is Sweeney Todd. It's running November 7th through the 10th in Ballantyne Auditorium at Kirkwood. We'll tell you in a minute how to get tickets. So, favorite moment in the show right now? Favorite number, favorite scene? It might change between now and the show. Nobody's holding to you, but Gabe, we'll start with you.
I think just any scene that you and I do, it's just so much fun.
Yeah.
It's ridiculously fun. Especially with there's this one solo where she has to like be like all touchy-feely with me.
That's my favorite one.
And I have to like be completely serious face and just sort of sit there like,
yeah, that's my
whatever,
favorite one too.
Okay.
I love it because I'm so all over him because I want him to love me, but he doesn't. But it's so fun to do it in rehearsal because he has to be so serious. But it's
hard.
It's hard when it's a pretty funny scene to do.
Funny scene,
but that's my favorite one right now because it's so fun to
And
play
it just
into.
also, that scene in particular just shows the contrast between those
Yeah,
characters
it's.
as well.
I think that's almost like if you didn't get it yet, you get it now.
Yeah.
That she loves him and
he
doesn't
not.
love her.
He does not.
Well, this is as anyone listening or watching can tell, this is one of my favorite shows too. So I'll be right there to watch as well. Always looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing you two in it. And Emma, what you brought to it as a director too.
Yeah.
It's always fun and the perfect season. You know, it's going to be after Halloween, but only just a little after Halloween.
Just very just.
Perfect season for Sweeney Todd in Ballantyne Auditorium at Kirkwood Community College. Now, at Kirkwood, there's no ticket software or anything like that. So if you want to order tickets, you just send an email. Anybody remember that address?
Yes, I believe it's arts@kirkwood.edu.
That's right. Yeah, arts@kirkwood.edu. And of course, right now, it is actually above my head. Even as we speak, the email address right there. You can, of course, get tickets at the door, too. Thank you all so much for being here. Really looking forward to the show.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
so much.
You can hear the Culture Crawl live on the radio weekdays at 10:20 or watch the podcast using your favorite podcast catcher or at kcck.org/culture. I'm Dennis Green.